Chapter 251 7 Nails Sever the Golden Core. Oops. Just thinking about it gets me excited. I've lived for so long and I've never played such a thrilling game before. Hehehe. Kid, you're in luck. Ha ha ha. Bai Shangli laughed triumphantly. He hoped to see despair, or even pleading, on He Pingxing's face. Or perhaps you could see submission on Qiao Huizhu's face. However, that didn't happen. Both of them remained unusually calm. You seem very confident. Bai Shangli's smile vanished, and he stared at He Pingxing. He Pingxing didn't say anything, but slowly took out a talisman from his storage bag. Top-grade Thunder Talisman. Although the talisman was not activated, the powerful energy contained within it, along with a faint threat of death, made Bai Shangli's brows twitch. What is this? Bai Shangli was so frightened that he quickly took 2 steps back, his divine sense sweeping over the talisman. He then exclaimed, a 3rd-grade talisman, and a top-grade 3rd-grade talisman at that. My God, how did you get this? As a golden core cultivator, Bai Shangli knew this better than anyone else. Once this talisman is activated, he will surely die. Top-grade talismans are just that powerful. Hehehe. After the initial shock, Bai Shangli laughed again. Kid, your divine sense isn't strong enough. With your Foundation Establishment Stage 3 divine sense, it would take at least 10 breaths to activate this kind of talisman. In 10 breaths, I could crush you 8 times over. If you don't believe me, you can try it. He Pingxing remained silent, but shook the talisman in his hand. Then, a supernatural power activated within his sea of consciousness, instantly condensing 7 divine nails. To be precise, it should be called an invisible divine thought nail. 7 divine nails, silently and without a sound, emerged one after another from He Pingxing's sea of consciousness. It's a pity that the main body cannot be seen, otherwise He Pingxing would have discovered that these 7 divine thought nails are shaped like the Big Dipper. This is also the origin of the name of the supernatural power, Wuxiang Bida Ding. Ah! After the first divine thought nail blasted into Bai Shangli's sea of consciousness, he cried out in pain. Then the 2nd and 3rd divine nails entered his sea of consciousness one after another. He stopped calling out. He rolled his eyes, then tumbled to the ground. Puff, puff, puff. He Pingxing controlled the divine nails and continued to drive them into his sea of consciousness. The 7 divine thought nails completely shattered the opponent's sea of consciousness. Bai Shangli died. It's that simple. After unleashing his strongest divine thought attack, He Pingxing swayed and turned deathly pale. There's no way around it. The consumption of divine power is still too great. Just now, in order to ensure a fatal blow, He Pingxing actually used the power of his entire sea of consciousness. He had just taken out a 3rd-grade talisman, not because he actually intended to blow up the other party. It was merely to attract his attention and create an opportunity for his own formless Big Dipper nail to cast a spell. My husband. Seeing He Pingxing swaying precariously, Qiao Huizhu quickly reached out to support him. Meanwhile, Mi Rong was so scared that she peed herself. A Foundation Establishment cultivator killed a golden core cultivator. Can you believe it? The key issue is that she still doesn't understand what methods were used. But it doesn't matter. The most important thing is to run. She moved her feet to leave, but suddenly realized that a clump of thorns had grown from the ground and was tightly binding her ankle. You think you can just leave after betraying me? Although He Pingxing's face was pale, he still smiled calmly, and his remaining divine sense stirred. Phut! The thorns that were wrapped around Mi Rong's feet suddenly burst open. One of the thorns flew out and pierced her skin. Under the influence of the poison, Mi Rong instantly fainted. Phew! Seeing this scene, He Pingxing let out a deep breath. My husband, how are you? Why is your face so pale? Qiao Huizhu's concerned and anxious expression made He Pingxing smile. He said, it's nothing. However, just to be on the safe side, he still took out a pill from his storage bag. A 3rd-grade elixir, a resurrection pill, and a top-grade one at that. This thing is specifically for treating injuries to one's spiritual senses. He Pingxing's divine sense was not injured, but eating it could instantly restore it to its full strength. In this desolate wilderness, we must maintain our fighting strength at all times and cannot afford to relax in the slightest. It's just a waste of a top-grade pill. He has plenty of resurrection pills. After about half an incense stick's time, He Pingsheng finally recovered. He stood up and pulled Mi Rong over with a wave of his hand. Then with another wave of his hand, he threw out a fire crow. They burned the corpse of the golden core cultivator. After Bai Shangli's body was burned, a pile of ashes and a scarlet ring were left on the ground. He Pingsheng recognized this item. It was a storage treasure used by golden core cultivators, similar to the storage bags used by foundation establishment cultivators. Without any hesitation, he took the ring with a wave of his hand, then opened the cloud-piercing boat and vanished in a streak of light. Smack! Klep klep klet. He Pingsheng reached out and slapped Mi Rong a few times, then said, "Stop pretending. That poison just now will only make you unconscious for a short while. Get up." Mi Rong remained motionless. He Pingsheng said, "If you don't move, I'll kill you." My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Upon hearing this, Mi Rong quickly got up. 3 people were on the small flying boat. Xiao Huizhu was at the front, controlling the flying boat, while He Pingsheng sat beside her. Mi Rong then knelt down in front of He Pingsheng. Her face was filled with fear. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was wrong." "You're not wrong," He Pingsheng said calmly. "You're just scared. But don't worry, I still have a use for you. I'm counting on you to help me find the heavenly fragrance cardamom." "Yes, yes," Mi Rong said urgently. "I will definitely help you find it." He Pingsheng said, "Tell me, what exactly happened? Why did you betray me?" Mi Rong recounted the whole story. He Pingsheng frowned slightly. "I was careless. This time, it really was my carelessness." It turns out that after He Pingsheng left at the Skull Mountain conference, Bai Shangli was unable to catch up and returned to the Skull Mountain Trade Fair, where he captured Mi Rong that very night. Under duress and enticement, Mi Rong revealed her promise to He Pingsheng to search for Xianxia Duku together. And so, the scene that followed came about. Mi Rong lured He Pingsheng out of the city, and then Bai Shangli suddenly appeared. A perfect plan. Unfortunately, they all underestimated He Pingsheng's fighting prowess. He Pingsheng also reflected deeply on his mistakes. He should have considered this situation, but unfortunately he overlooked it. It can only be said that, on the one hand, I lack experience, and on the other hand, ultimately, I wasn't careful enough. Lead the way. He Pingsheng gestured towards Mi Rong with his lip. Don't even think about running away. I can kill you with a single thought. If I could obtain the heavenly fragrance bean, I might spare you. We'll see how you do. Chapter 252 Cultivation Family Mi Family Next, it was Mi Rong's turn to control the flying boat. Xiao Huizhu looked at her. He Pingsheng then took out the red ring and, with a thought, erased the mark on it. The contents inside are clearly visible. Spirit stone. Many spirit stones. There are over 1 million low-grade spirit stones. More than 400 mid-grade spirit stones. Besides these, there were also some third-grade materials and pills, and He Pingsheng even found 2 third-grade talismans among them. One is a defensive type called the Ice Shield Rune, which can be expanded to form a huge ice shield to defend against enemy attacks. One is an offensive talisman called the Wood-Breaking Talisman, a wood attribute talisman. After use, it allows a stream of wood energy to penetrate deep into the opponent's body, continuously depleting their mana. These 2 things are very useful to He Pingsheng. Besides these, there was a pile of jade slips. It includes talismans, alchemy, cultivation techniques, magic, and so on. He Pingsheng took out the jade slips and looked at them. There were basically none that interested him, so he tossed them to Xiao Huizhu and said, "Senior sister, see if there's anything here that you can use. If it's unusable, you can find a place to sell it." Xiao Huizhu looked at them for a while, then happily picked up a jade slip about talismans and said, "I want this one, I don't need the rest." He Pingsheng continued reading. There are also precious artifacts. A flying sword, a mid-grade spiritual weapon. A flying boat, a mid-grade spiritual artifact. Several magical shields. Finally, one magical artifact ended up in the hands of He Pingxing. This magic weapon is of medium quality and has 10 layers of restrictions on it. At first glance, it looks like a small iron flag. What's this? Curious, He Pingxing took the magic item out of the ring and placed it in his palm. He glanced at the magical artifact with his divine sense and immediately understood, the 1,000-soul banner. This is a relatively rare magical artifact belonging to the demonic path. It is an evil weapon, and very insidious. But it is indeed very strong. When you summon it during a fight, countless spirits will fly out to help you in battle. If one cultivates to a certain level, once this soul banner is unleashed, the land will be scorched for thousands of miles, and not a single rooster will crow for 10,000 miles. It's possible for it to blot out the sky and even seal off an entire realm. Of course, that's at a very high level. However, when refining this thing, one needs to absorb one's soul into it, which disrupts the natural cycle of heaven and earth and is detrimental to one's virtue. He Pingxing swept his spiritual sense into the 1,000-soul banner and found that there were already hundreds of souls inside. It's easy to imagine where the souls inside came from. And they were all female ghosts. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Upon closer examination, He Pingxing felt a chill run down his spine. It can only be said that Bai Shangli committed numerous evils and deserved to die. He put away the 1,000-soul banner. He Pingxing did not intend to refine it. Go back and put it in the treasure basin to enhance it. If it enhances into something good, then use it. If it doesn't enhance into something good, then discard it. Anyway, He Pingxing has enough treasures now. During the flight, He Pingxing was not idle either. I secretly enhanced the 2 talismans. The Ice Shield talisman was enhanced into 2 top-grade rank 3 Ice Element talismans, still for defense. The Broken Wood talisman was enhanced into 2 top-grade 3rd rank, Devouring Life talismans, with attack attributes. After use, the life-devouring talisman can transform into a stream of wood energy that penetrates the opponent's body, continuously devouring their life force. That's terrifying. The mid-grade spiritual artifact, the flying boat, was enhanced by He Pingxing into 2. One named the Soaring Boat and the other the 8 Treasures Boat. Both are top-grade spiritual artifacts, possessing 8 layers of restrictions. If I refine it in the future, I won't have to worry about flight speed. Finally, He Pingxing enhanced the Scarlet Ring again. Both were upgraded to the highest quality, one blue and one black. The finest rings have even more space inside, each one is 50 feet in diameter. This thing can be used indefinitely. He Pingxing chose a blue one to wear on his finger and gave Xiao Huizhu a black one. Where did this come from? Xiao Huizhu asked in surprise. He Pingxing said, don't ask about the spoils. Wear them. Of the remaining spoils, he gave Xiao Huizhu several 100,000 spirit stones, but nothing else. No need. Buzzing. After a brief refining process, the blue ring merged into the flesh and blood. Like the premium storage bag, they all have the ability to become invisible. The key is that this thing has no restrictions on it, so it can be refined instantly. The flying boat swept over towering mountains and gradually entered a white, misty world. From afar, the mountains appear pristine white. Have we arrived yet? He Pingxing asked Mi Rong. Mi Rong said, we'll be there soon, in about half an hour. He Pingxing said, tell me, what kind of place is this? And who is the owner of that fragrant cardamom? As he spoke, He Pingxing's vast divine sense swept across the surrounding mountains. The distance is 10,000 feet, covering nearly 60 miles. Mi Rong said, the Mi family is a cultivation family on Xianxia Mountain, and this cultivation family is quite powerful. Their ancestor was a golden core cultivator. I heard he even reached the great perfection of the golden core stage. Peace's eyes narrowed slightly. What is your relationship with this family? Mi Rong lowered her head and said, actually, I am a member of this family. I made a mistake and was punished by the family head, who said he would destroy my cultivation. Later, I used some means to escape from the family. So, I'm not lying to you, The Mi family in Xianxia Mountain really does have heavenly fragrance cardamom. He Pingxing said, I understand. He then asked about other aspects of the Mijia brand. However, this did not help in obtaining Qianxiang Duku. He Pingxing didn't think it was that difficult either. After all, Qianxiang cardamom is only a second-grade material, and obtaining it might not necessarily require the consent of the head of the Mi family. The decision should be made by any of the disciples in the family. After all, it's not something precious. Half an hour later, He Pingxing's flying boat landed on a snow-capped mountain. Mi Rong said, Senior, I am, after all, a defector from the Mi family. I cannot set foot in the Mi family. Otherwise, if I am captured by the Mi family, I will surely die. I think you can go alone, Senior. I don't need the holy wood shield. He Pingxing sneered, you still want the holy wood shield? Phut. Lush green brambles appeared out of nowhere and instantly bound Mi Rong. Before Mi Rong could even cry for help, the poisonous stinger was thrust out, and she fainted. Bang! He Pingxing casually placed her in a deep valley, then took Xiao Huizhu and headed towards the Mi family's house on the mountain ahead. As for Mi Rong, she'll never wake up again in this lifetime. This woman must be killed. After all, she had witnessed He Pingxing killed by Shangli with her own eyes, and such life or death news could not be easily spread. After searching her storage bag, He Pingxing left immediately. The Mi family's home is located on a high mountain not far away. Chapter 253 The ancestor of the Mi family. The mountain where the Mi family lives is very high. High on the mountain, everywhere is covered in white snow. Just one look at it gives you a chilling feeling. There seemed to be a spiritual vein emerging from the mountain peak, and surrounded by snow, there was an oasis that spanned several thousand feet in circumference, on which a large family had been established. It has pavilions, terraces, towers, artificial hills, and ponds, everything you could want. And every now and then, celestial birds would fly and dance among them. He Pingxing, accompanied by Xiao Huizhu, landed in front of the Mi family's mountain gate. There were no disciples guarding the mountain gate, and the gate itself was extremely simple, consisting of just two huge stones temporarily erected as a basic entrance. On one of the stones, the words Mijia were written. The characters are written in a simple and vigorous style, clearly the work of a master calligrapher. What if there's no one here? Xiao Huizhu looked at the mountain gate, somewhat puzzled. How could a family like this possibly have no one to guard the gate? Just as the two were wondering whether they should go in, a streak of light flew from the Mi family's house and landed instantly. Gentlemen. The newcomer was a very young Qi refining stage disciple. He politely cupped his hands to He Pingxing and the other man. May I ask what brings you to my Mi family? He Pingxing did not look down on the other party just because he was a Qi refining stage disciple. Instead, he returned the greeting and said, I have come to the Mi family to purchase some medicinal herbs. Oh. The disciple said, come with me. Walk. He Pingxing and his companion then followed the disciple into the Mi family residence. As he entered, his immense divine sense spread out, instantly enveloping the entire Mi family compound. He wouldn't dare say he could see every single blade of grass and tree clearly, but he had a general understanding of the Mi family's situation. The spiritual energy here is quite abundant, but there aren't many disciples of the Mi family. Such a large family and territory, yet all its disciples combined don't even number 100. This is very strange. That's too little. Please follow me, both of you, the disciple said. To purchase medicinal herbs, we need to discuss it with the elders of our Internal Affairs Hall. After arriving at the Internal Affairs Hall, the disciple withdrew. The person who received He Pingxing and Xiao Huizhu was a female cultivator in the foundation establishment stage. The female cultivator looked to be around 40 years old. Of course, that's just how it appears. It's hard to say exactly how old he is, maybe he's only in his 40s, or maybe he's over 140. What medicinal herbs would you two like to buy? The female cultivator asked He Pingxing. He Pingxing said, I heard that the Mi family has a second-grade medicinal herb called heavenly fragrance cardamom, so I've come to purchase 2 pieces. You don't need many cardamom pods, 2 are enough. This. The female cultivator frowned, not saying yes or no, but asked, how did you know that our Mi family has heavenly fragrance cardamom? He Pingxing said, I was actually unaware that a trade fair was held in Skull Mountain, Redstone City, some time ago. I specifically went to the meeting to buy Xianxia cardamom, but I didn't receive any. Instead, I received this news. This information was bought with money by me. I don't know if I've been scammed. Oh, I see. The female cultivator nodded and said solemnly, you weren't deceived after all. Our Mi family does indeed have something called Xianxia Duku. However, we don't usually sell this to the public, so what use would it be to you? The woman stared at He Pingxing. He Pingxing had nothing to hide and told the truth. This is my wife. She sacrificed her cultivation to save me and now needs to reopen her meridians. I understand. The woman nodded. When opening your meridians, you need to refine 3 kinds of pills. You have already opened your meridians and dantian, and you only need to rebuild your spiritual root. And heavenly fragrance cardamom is the main ingredient of the spirit nourishing pill. He Pingxing said, that's exactly right. Wait a moment. The female cultivator stood up. Our Mi family's heavenly fragrance cardamom is all on our ancestor. I don't have it. I'll go and report to our ancestor right away. If it's all right, I'll give you 2. It's not a big deal. After saying that, the woman left. He Pingxing felt uneasy. Let's wait. Regardless of the outcome, we now know the location of Xianxia Duku. There's always a way to get it. He Pingxing believed that as long as enough was offered, the transaction should not be a problem. After about half an incense stick's time, an ugly man dressed in a bright red Taoist robe slowly entered the large living room. Behind the man followed the female cultivator from before. He Pingxing guessed that the man in red must be the patriarch of the Mi family, so he didn't dare to use his divine sense to scan the other party's cultivation level. He quickly stood up and bowed. The woman said, fellow Daoist, this is our ancestor. Golden Core Stage. Greetings, Senior. He Pingxing quickly said. The ugly man at the Golden Core Stage nodded, his gaze sweeping over He Pingxing and Xiao Huizhu, and said, you too, do you want heavenly fragrance cardamom? He Pingxing replied, yes. Who dissipated their energy? Asked the patriarch of the Mi family. Xiao Huizhu said, it was the younger one who lost her breath. The patriarch of the Mi family then asked, how is it now? Xiao Huizhu said, my husband went through a lot of hardship to help me recover my dantian and meridians, but my spiritual root has not yet recovered. Good. The Mi family patriarch said, you are lucky. Many people may not be able to successfully repair their meridians and dantian, and once they fail, they will never be able to enter the path of immortality in this lifetime. Extend your left hand. Xiao Huizhu hesitated. The patriarch of the Mi family said, let the girl take your pulse. The female elder of the Mi family stepped forward. Xiao Huizhu then extended her left hand. The woman extended a finger and touched Xiao Huizhu's pulse. After a brief moment of feeling, she said, ancestor, they didn't lie. Her spiritual root is indeed blocked. Oh. The Mi family patriarch nodded, then suddenly asked He Pingxing, are 2 pills enough? He Pingxing said, that's enough. Here you go. The Mi family patriarch took out a porcelain bottle and said, there are 2 pills inside. Take it and use it. He Pingxing was overjoyed. He took the porcelain bottle, opened it, and saw that inside were 2 high-quality Xianxia cardamom seeds. I'm so excited. I finally got it. He Pingxing's hands were almost trembling. The patriarch of the Mi family smiled and said, love and loyalty, what a perfect couple. Senior. He Pingxing said, thank you, Senior. I didn't know about the price. What price? The Mi family patriarch waved his hand, it's just a second-grade herb, not worth mentioning. If you really want it, it'll only cost a few spirit stones. Take it. I'm leaving. I wish you success in rebuilding your spiritual roots. After saying that, The old ancestor actually took a step and left the main hall. He Pingxing stood there, stunned. Before coming, he had imagined many scenarios. Is the other party in a difficult position? The other party raised the price? Is the other person short-tempered? But I never expected this situation. It was given away for free. This. Chapter 254. 10 years later. Foundation Establishment Level 10. How about I convert it into spirit stones and pay you? He Pingxing looked at the female disciple. The female elder smiled and shook her head, saying, that won't do. The ancestor already said he would give it to you. If I take your spirit stones back later, the ancestor will punish me. Fellow Daoist, there's no need to take it to heart. Although Xianxia cardamom is rare, its value is not high. It's not worth anything. All right. He Pingxing was filled with emotion. He cupped his hands in thanks to the woman and said, then, thank you very much. By the way, may I ask the Taoist name and surname of the ancestor of the Mi family? If you've received a favor from someone, you should at least know their name, right? The female cultivator said, my ancestor's name is Mi Zhengyuan. Okay. He Pingxing thanked him again. Thank you very much, I'm extremely grateful. After leaving the Mi family's residence, He Pingxing once again flew on his sword, carrying Qiao Huizhu back home. He still couldn't quite believe it. You got it so easily? It's really hard to know what to say. All I can say is that the Mi family is truly a breath of fresh air in the world of cultivation. Because He Pingxing's divine sense is now very strong and the effects of the dual divine pills have not yet worn off, he can fly at an extremely fast speed on his sword. It took 4 days to get there and 1 day to get back, and we arrived at the west gate of Redstone City. Of course, long-term sword flight is very taxing, but it doesn't matter. He Pingxing has Golden Bee elixir, he can just take a few more drops. Back in my own little courtyard. The first thing he did was to go into seclusion and refine elixirs. First, strengthen the materials, then refine the elixir. After it is refined, throw it into the treasure basin to strengthen it once more. The result is a top-quality, spirit-gathering pill. The finest spirit-nourishing pill was presented to Qiao Huizhu. Qiao Huizhu stretched out her delicate hand, pinched the small pill, and said, finally, I can embark on the path of cultivation again. After saying that, she swallowed it in one gulp. The spiritual roots within his body were being activated rapidly. At the same time, as Qiao Huizhu circulated her cultivation technique, the faint spiritual energy around her transformed into wisps of smoke that gathered around her. The spiritual root is complete. It's healed. Qiao Huizhu opened her eyes. Husband, my spiritual roots are completely healed. Really? He Pingxing breathed a sigh of relief. Qiao Huizhu said, of course it's true. Feel it if you don't believe me. I'm going into seclusion. I've really traveled enough during this period. That's enough. The more you travel, the more you realize how little you know you have. However, before going into seclusion, there was one more thing to do, get rid of some things. For example, that cluster of crimson flames. After the Dan fire was enhanced, there were 2 pills. He Pingxing refined one cluster himself. He originally intended to give the red one to Qiao Huizhu, but after thinking about it, he decided to sell it. After all, Qiao Huizhu doesn't practice alchemy. If you don't refine pills, this fire is useless because it has no offensive or defensive functions. I sold the Danhua to the Red Moon Merchant Guild. Besides the Danhua, He Pingxing also sold the top-grade magic artifact, Cloud Piercing Boat, which had 4 layers of restrictions. Because he has someone better now. After obtaining the spirit stones, He Pingxing purchased some alchemy materials and then returned to his courtyard to begin his seclusion. You need to improve your cultivation level. At the same time, he took out the 1,000 soul banner and threw it into the treasure basin. The next day, I saw that the 1,000 soul banner had been strengthened into 2. The first one, the banner of 10,000 souls. Quality, top-grade magic weapon. Restriction, 12 layers. Function, it can collect and refine 10,000 lonely souls. When summoned during battle, it can transform an entire world into a world of Azura. The second one, the soul-nourishing banner. Quality: top-grade magic weapon. Restriction: 12 layers. Function: it can absorb and nurture the soul within it. This soul-nourishing banner can be used to gently nourish the soul. He Pingsheng glanced at the two items, then waved his hand and put them away. He really doesn't need it for now. Jingle bells. He threw a handful of low-grade spirit stones into the treasure basin, allowing it to slowly strengthen. He Pingsheng himself finally began his cultivation. In the path of cultivation, time has no bearing on the cycle of days and nights. In the blink of an eye, a year has passed. In the year that followed, Xiao Huizhu's cultivation level returned to the 6th level of the foundation establishment stage. He Pingsheng, on the other hand, raised his cultivation level to the 4th level of the foundation establishment stage. Because he had enough spirit gathering pills, He Pingsheng did not leave seclusion but continued his cultivation. In the courtyard, the peach blossoms are in bloom, and the spring breeze has arrived. A pool of spring water is as green as blue. Unbeknownst to them, as the peach branches swayed, yellow leaves fell one by one. As winter snow fell, the pond froze, and the whole world turned white again. Year after year. Spring and summer alternate, autumn and winter cycle. Before we knew it, another 10 years had passed. He Pingsheng's cultivation level also increased from the 4th level of the foundation establishment stage to the 10th level of the foundation establishment stage. It can't be repaired anymore. Because we've encountered a bottleneck. The bottleneck in the foundation establishment stage has arrived. To break through the bottleneck, one must use some spiritual fruits containing the power of rules. Otherwise, it will be extremely difficult. However, those spiritual fruits containing the power of rules are not easy to obtain. You might even pursue it your whole life and still not find a clue. He Pingsheng gently opened his eyes. He takes things lightly. When he hits a bottleneck, he travels and searches for answers. However, during his 11 years of secluded cultivation, he did not simply raise his cultivation level to the 10th level. All 5 Dantian have reached the 10th level. Moreover, the foundation establishment stage of the 9 poisons refined golden body has reached the 10th level. His divine sense had also reached the 10th level. He Pingsheng's divine sense has now reached 5,000 feet. It is roughly equivalent to the spiritual power of a cultivator at the 10th level of the golden core stage. In addition, He Pingsheng cultivated several other supernatural powers. He cultivated the offensive divine power, the formless Big Dipper nail, to its peak. With a single thought, it bursts open, capable of easily annihilating any foundation establishment stage disciple with divine sense. The defensive divine power, the 9 shields of the Purple Mansion, has also been cultivated to the great perfection. Now, there are 9 solid shields in his sea of consciousness, like lotus petals protecting him. Even ordinary divine sense attacks, not divine sense supernatural abilities, from golden core stage cultivators can be defended against. In addition to these 2 divine abilities, He Pingsheng also practiced the magic technique, Fire Cloud Holy Spear technique. This spell, when used in conjunction with the heavenly flawed divine spear, was a perfect match. It is incredibly powerful. In addition, after 10 years of seclusion and comprehension, He Pingsheng finally made significant progress in the art of formations. He can now set up that 3rd grade formation. For example, right now, there are 3 rank 3 formations set up outside this courtyard. One is a grade 3 defensive formation. One of them is a grade 3 divine forbidden formation. One is a warning array of the 3rd rank. Once these 3 formations are activated, there's no need to worry about being spied on anymore. First of all, it is impossible for an ordinary golden core cultivator to penetrate his grade 3 divine forbidden array with their divine sense. If a nascent soul cultivator were to arrive, although their divine sense could pass through the God-suppressing array, the warning array would still issue an alarm. In this way, we can prepare in advance. By the time your divine sense reaches in, I've already stored the treasure bowl inside my body. Do you think I'm afraid you'll see it? Chapter 255 Auction Shop. He Pingsheng packed up his belongings and then slowly walked downstairs. The first floor was completely empty. Xiao Huizhu is not here. Xiao Huizhu recovered her cultivation to the 6th level of the foundation establishment stage in just 2 years. In the following 10 years, she spent another 8 years raising her cultivation level to the 11th level of the foundation establishment stage. Then, she also encountered a bottleneck. In the past 2 years, because she had no hope of breaking through, she liked to travel around. On the one hand, she wanted to find an opportunity to break through the bottleneck, because both she and He Pingxing had to face the problem of bottlenecks. On the other hand, she also wanted to find Xianxia. It's been 12 years in total. There is still no news about Xianxia. If He Pingxing was Qiao Huizhu's support, then Xianxia was her only blood relative in this world. She felt uneasy because she couldn't find Xianxia. Is fellow Daoist here? A loud voice came from outside the courtyard. He Pingxing knew who it was as soon as he heard the voice. Elder Ling. This person is a low-level elder of the Red Moon Merchant Guild, with a foundation establishment cultivation level, and his real name is Ling Jiwang. Since He Pingxing had been using the name Shu Kunlun since arriving in Redstone City, it was perfectly acceptable for Ling Ji to call him fellow Daoist Shu. He Pingxing has not been in seclusion the entire past decade. When I have free time, I also visit the Red Moon Merchant Guild and have even purchased some Grade 3 formation materials several times. Ling Jiwang had also delivered goods to him here before. Later, when Ling Ji saw that He Pingxing had indeed set up a third-grade formation outside the courtyard, he began to look at him with new respect. Even in Redstone City, array masters who can set up a third-grade array are extremely rare, and each one is highly respected. His status is extraordinary. Therefore, Ling Jiwang also asked He Pingxing to help set up several formations. It wasn't for his own benefit, but rather through introductions from other friends. Each deployment yields a decent reward. They went back and forth, and although they couldn't be called old friends, they were acquaintances. Elder Ling, please come in, please come in. He Pingxing invited Ling Jiwang into the courtyard. I won't go to your dojo. Ling Ji looked at the small building and said, fellow Daoist Shu, I have good news for you. The City Lord's mansion has released a batch of shops this time. The auction was held right here in our area. Didn't you need one? Don't forget to come back and take the picture in 3 days. This is your token to enter the auction. Ling Jiwang took out a red token and gave it to He Pingxing. He Pingxing was overjoyed and said, thank you. Thank you. I will definitely arrive in 3 days. All right, fellow Daoist Shu, I won't keep you any longer. See you in 3 days. He Pingxing escorted Ling Ji to the door. Opening the shop was not He Pingxing's idea. It was Qiao Huizhu's idea. Of course, opening a shop was not my original intention. Her goal was to get to know people through opening the shop, so that she could find out more about Xianxia. Or, give it a unique and distinctive name, so that if Xianxia sees the shop later, she will definitely come over herself. This idea was approved by He Pingxing. Opening a shop in Redstone City is no easy task. First, you need to take a picture of a shop. And every time a shop is auctioned off, the price is driven up to an astronomical level. Secondly, when you open a shop to sell items, you also have to pay a certain amount of tax to the City Lord's mansion every year. The amount of tax varies, but it is generally 1% of the total price of the store. It's similar to buying a house. Finally, in order to protect the interests of the Grand Chamber of Commerce, all cultivators who open shops must ensure that their shops sell only a single type of goods. For example, an alchemy shop. Then you can only sell items related to elixirs. For example, there are 2 types, pills and herbs. Other than these, none of them may be sold. Similarly, if it's a talisman-making shop, it can only sell things like talismans, talisman ink, and talisman paper. It absolutely cannot sell elixirs or the like at the same time. To put it bluntly, it's all to protect the interests of the Chamber of Commerce. Generally speaking, the City Lord's mansion has a stake in those large merchant guilds. In fact, some of these guilds are even established by the City Lord's mansion itself. Of course, there are also some chambers of commerce established by the Liang Kingdom. For the next 3 days, He Pingxing did not inform Qiao Huizhu, but instead tidied up the courtyard. 3 days later, he went directly to the Red Moon Merchant Guild. Fellow Daoist Shu, please come in, please come in. Ling Ji looked at He Pingxing, his face beaming, and said, "I've already prepared a VIP seat for you. You can sit there later." He Pingxing said, "Isn't that unnecessary?" "That's the only way." Ling Ji said, "You're my good brother." Good brother is just a polite way of saying it. In fact, Ling Jiwang benefited greatly from He Pingxing's creation of third-grade formations for several important figures. They gained sufficient benefits from He Pingxing. Of course, He Pingxing, as a formation master, also received sufficient benefits. "Brother," Ling Ji whispered, "did you take over this shop to open a formation shop? If that's the case, then you'll be very busy in the future, and you probably won't have time to cultivate." He Pingxing smiled and said, "No. I'll open an alchemy shop." "Ah?" Ling Ji asked, "You can also refine pills?" "This? No way." He Pingxing said, "Alchemy and formation are actually interconnected." After saying that, He Pingxing took the token and walked directly to the auction hall at the back. Ling Ji looked puzzled. "This, alchemy, array formation. Connected. Where does it go? How come I didn't know?" He Pingxing had already arrived at the venue. As for the similarities between alchemy and array formation, He Pingxing explained it from the perspective of divine sense. As long as your divine sense is strong enough, none of that is a problem. The setup of this auction venue was similar to the only auction He Pingxing had ever participated in, which was hosted by Jiang Lan. The following are regular seats. The upper section is the VIP seating area. He Pingxing looked at his nameplate and saw that it indicated he was in the VIP section. Sit down according to your assigned number and wait patiently. The auction won't start for a while. Today's auction is not like the previous ones where everything was available. Today's is a special session. The City Lord's Mansion special event will only feature the Chamber of Commerce. Moreover, there is more than one shop to be auctioned today. He Pingxing just saw the promotional materials and there are more than 20. Each location and size is different, so the starting price will naturally vary. Half an hour later, the auction began. He Pingxing noticed that there weren't many people participating in the auction. The entire auction can seat over 1,000 people, but there are less than 200 people here now. However, these people all have very high cultivation levels. It's either the peak of the foundation establishment stage or the golden core stage. Moreover, everyone was seated in the VIP section. Chapter 256 Acquired with a creak. The auction hall doors closed. The lights dimmed. A cultivator dressed in the robes of the City Lord's mansion walked to the spot where the auctioneer was. This person was tall and slender with delicate features. She was a female cultivator. She is quite attractive. However, this person should be an official of the City Lord's mansion, not a member of the Red Moon Merchant Guild. "Greetings, everyone." As she spoke, the woman's divine sense suddenly burst forth, sweeping across the surroundings. He Pingxing didn't stand on ceremony and glanced over at it as well. Anyway, there are about 200 people in this auction house. Who knows if it was me who scanned it? Upon glancing at him, He Pingxing was slightly surprised. It was actually a golden core stage cultivator. Golden core stage, level 3. There are a total of 26 stalls up for auction. 26 berths, each with a different location, size, and level of spiritual energy. Based on the above 3 indicators, we have developed 3 rating standards. Each indicator is rated in 4 levels: heaven, earth, dark, and yellow. Alright, our 26 shops will be auctioned off randomly in turn. The first one is a shop located in the south of the city, Wushu District, on the 16th Street. This shop's location is rated as Shen level. Spiritual energy rating, profound level. Size rating, yellow. Usage rights for 100 years. Starting bid is 1 million low-grade spirit stones. Everyone can now place their bids. Each bid increase must be no less than 50,000 low-grade spirit stones. He Pingxing's eyes narrowed slightly. He understood. The exact location of this stall is also shown on the map behind the auction stage, along with its level. Basically, whether it's the geographical location, the size, or the spiritual energy, it's all second-rate. Moreover, it's not something you can always have. Ownership is only for 100 years. He Pingxing did not participate in the bidding. Why? His purpose in wanting the shop wasn't simply to make money, but to find Xiao. To achieve this goal, the geographical location naturally cannot be too bad. It must be in a particularly bustling location to facilitate dissemination. 1,500,000. 1,100,000. 1,200,000. He Pingxing did not participate in the bidding, but others did. Soon, the shop was sold for 1.4 million. This is only the century-long lease for the shops. To operate normally, a certain amount of tax needs to be paid each year. Sure enough, the next moment, the auctioneer said, "Congratulations to this fellow Daoist for winning the qualification to operate this shop for 100 years. It should be noted that during the operation of the shop, 1% of the total auction price must be paid to the City Lord's mansion every year as tax. You can choose to pay for 100 years in one lump sum, or you can pay for 10 years or 1 year first, it's all fine. 1,400,000. 1% of that is 14,000. Not many. But that's not a small number either. Gentlemen, the second shop is located in the Gungzi district, on the western side of Redstone City. This shop is quite good. Geographical location is top tier. Large and medium-sized prefecture-level cities. The spiritual energy concentration is at the earth level. Starting bid, 6 million low-grade spirit stones. The shop's location is good, but unfortunately, its size and the density of spiritual energy are not what he Pingxing wanted. What he wanted was a shop that was incredibly bustling, but not too big, with negligible spiritual energy. After all, a small alchemy shop is useless if it's too big. As for spiritual power, he doesn't need it for cultivation. In other words, whether the spiritual energy is abundant or sparse has little effect on him. There are top-grade elixirs. Let's wait. There should be. After all, there are more than 20 shops. He Pingxing waited quietly. After taking pictures of more than a dozen shops, the type of shop he wanted finally appeared. Ladies and gentlemen, the shop we are about to auction is rather special. He's located in the Jiazi district, near the City Lord's mansion. The level of prosperity is at the heavenly level. The spiritual energy concentration is at the yellow level. I must remind you all that although this place is relatively close to the City Lord's mansion, this shop has no spiritual energy. Finally, size, also at the yellow level. This shop isn't very big. How many levels are there in the yellow category? The Chamber of Commerce provided an explanation. The width and depth are both around 1 zhong, approximately 3.3 meters. It can be understood as a shop that is 1 zhong wide and 1 zhong long. Alright, because this shop is located in a very bustling area, the starting price is relatively high. Starting bid, 6 million low-grade spirit stones. Each bid increase will be no less than 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. Hiss hiss hiss. Upon hearing the price, he Pingxing gasped in shock. Fortunately, he had enough spirit stones. During the 11 years of seclusion, he Pingxing strengthened spirit stones almost every day. You can enhance 2 stones each day, turning them into 4 mid-grade spirit stones. That means you can earn 40,000 per day. In 11 years, he acquired more than 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones, which would be worth more than 100 million low-grade spirit stones. 6,300,000. I'll offer 6.5 million. I'll offer 6,600,000. The shop was small, but there were quite a few bidders. He Pingxing did not make an offer immediately, but waited quietly. Once the price of the shop reached 7 million spirit stones, the number of bidders decreased. After all, it's just a very small shop. It's not worth it if it's too expensive. I'll offer 7,300,000. He Pingxing made his first offer. Swish. Immediately, many eyes turned to him. Some people, upon seeing that he Pingxing was just an ordinary foundation establishment disciple, couldn't help but look down on him. 7,400,000. 7,500,000. 7,600,000. Prices surged. Finally, He Pingxing acquired the shop for 7.9 million low-grade spirit stones. A 100-year operating right. Of course, we'll have to pay taxes for another 100 years, which will amount to another 7.5 million. Okay, congratulations to this young man for winning the bid for this shop in the Koshi ward. Someone will be there to handle the transaction with you shortly. The photographer then proceeded to take the next shot. A female disciple at the third level of the foundation establishment stage, dressed in the robes of the city lord's mansion, gently approached He Pingxing and said, "Fellow Daoist, this is a token from a shop in the Jiazi district." A red token was handed to He Pingxing. "This is the specific address. Will you pay taxes for 100 years in a lump sum, or?" The woman looked at He Pingxing. He Pingxing took out more than 1,000 mid-grade spirit stones from his storage bag, put them into a treasure bag, and handed it to the woman, saying, "Pay all of them at once." Okay. The woman handed He Pingxing another plaque. "This is your century-old tax payment plaque. Please keep it safe. Once you pay your taxes, you will be under the protection of the city lord's mansion. If anyone causes trouble in the shop in the future, our guards will take action. Now you can go and take a look, the shop isn't far. If you need, I can take you there." The female cultivator looked at He Pingxing with shining eyes. This was truly the first time she had ever seen a cultivator so wealthy during the foundation establishment stage. "All right," He Pingxing said, "I'll go take a look with you now." Since he'd already gotten what he wanted, there was no need for him to stay at the auction any longer. Chapter 257 High-Level Array. "Brother, why are you out here?" "That's it." Ling Ji looked at He Pingxing and asked. He Pingxing said, "It's not over yet, but I've already bid for the shops I need." "Oh." Ling Jiwang immediately beamed and said, "Congratulations, where are you?" He Pingxing said, "I don't know. They said it's in Jiazi district, very close to the city lord's mansion. I reckon it shouldn't be far from your Red Moon Chamber of Commerce." "Good, good, that's wonderful." Ling Ji saw He Pingxing off as he left the merchant guild, then solemnly said, "Brother, remember this, you can only sell pills in your shop. Do not touch anything else that is unrelated to pills, or your shop will be confiscated if the city lord's mansion finds out." He Pingxing had been warned about this countless times before. And Ling Ji said, "Brother, I've arranged a gathering tonight. Let's drink some spiritual tea and discuss our cultivation experiences. Come on over, it's not far from our Chamber of Commerce." He Pingxing had no interest in this thing and shook his head, saying, "I'm not coming." "No." Ling Ji exclaimed, "Don't say you won't come, you absolutely have to come." Cough cough. "Brother, it's called tea, but it's actually a trade fair for people in our circle. Everyone here is an insider, an acquaintance." Trade fair. He Pingxing couldn't help but feel a flutter in his heart. But when he heard that it was a gathering organized by Ling Ji himself, and not a trade fair organized by the Chamber of Commerce, he was still a little apprehensive. "I'm afraid of being taken advantage of." Cough cough cough. Ling Ji lowered his voice and said, "Brother, I wasn't originally planning to call you, but a friend of mine is looking to sell a set of formation manuals. The really high-end kind. My friend comes from a family specializing in formations. I was just thinking that since you're also a formation master, you might be interested in this. Of course, if you're not interested, then never mind." He Pingxing immediately became interested. He was certainly interested in formations. The old man once said that this formation is of paramount importance in cultivation, and sometimes it is even more important than alchemy. He Pingxing is now able to set up a third-grade formation. But it won't work any higher, because there are no relevant classical texts. The knowledge recorded in the Rank 3 array and 10,000 arrays collection in his hands is at most only up to Rank 3. "All right," He Pingxing said, "then I'll go check out the shops and come find you tonight." This shop is really not far from the Red Moon Chamber of Commerce. They were on the same street, and the city lord's mansion was right across the street. It lacks spiritual energy. After the woman opened the door, He Pingxing took a look and found that it was indeed about 10 feet wide and long. To He Pingxing's surprise, there was a small courtyard behind the shop. The small courtyard was roughly the same as He Pingxing's previous courtyard, except it lacked spiritual energy. Is this a courtyard that was given to us as a gift? He Pingxing asked. No, the woman said. Behind every shop is a small courtyard. This is the rule in Redstone City, and it's the same no matter which shop you bid on. I see. He Pingxing suddenly realized. He really didn't know this detail. Senior brother. After showing He Pingxing around for a while, the woman asked, "What kind of items do you plan to sell in this shop? We need to report that as well." He Pingxing said, "The pills." Pills. The woman nodded and said, "All right, what level and quality of pills does senior brother sell in his shop?" He Pingxing said, "So far, let's go from the first to the third rank." What? The woman was slightly surprised. Senior brother, you can actually refine grade 3 pills. He Pingxing smiled and said, "I can't, but my master can." Oh. The woman only stopped looking surprised after hearing He Pingxing say that. Is there anything else? He Pingxing asked. The woman said, yes, there's one last thing. What's the name of your shop? Tell me, and we'll hang it up for you after we've made the sign. You don't need to make it yourself. He Pingxing said, I'll write it for you. He picked up a pen and wrote 6 characters on the paper. Xiaoxiao's alchemy shop. This name was the result of a long discussion between He Pingxing and Xiao Huizhu. The name seems ordinary. However, if someone who knows Xianxia, or if Xianxia herself sees this, she will definitely come in and take a look. Once you're inside, won't you have found it? Okay. The woman left after organizing all the information. He Pingxing stayed behind to tidy up the shop. Wipe the shelves clean, and tidy up the clutter in the backyard and throw it out. From now on, this small courtyard can be lived in. Of course, He Pingxing couldn't possibly be here personally to manage the shop. When he was in Dingxiang City, he saw that Shen Yuan had a disciple to run the shop, and He Pingxing wanted to follow suit and take on a disciple. However, that's all for the future. First and foremost, we need to get the store up and running. Open a shop to sell elixirs. Naturally, the main consumable pills for cultivators in the Qi refining, foundation establishment, and golden core stages are the Qi gathering pill, spirit gathering pill, and primal essence gathering pill. I've tidied it up a bit. As dusk approached, He Pingxing closed the shop and then went to the Red Moon Merchant Guild. Lexus had been waiting for a long time. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Hehehe. Brother Shu, we've been waiting for you. Ling Ji tugged at He Pingxing's sleeve and said, come on, they're all waiting. He Pingxing was naturally not afraid. His divine sense is now incredibly powerful, comparable to the great perfection of the Golden Core stage, and he also has the Thunder Talisman by his side. Let alone a mere foundation establishment cultivator, even if he encountered a Golden Core cultivator, he could guarantee a safe retreat. After following Ling Ji around several streets in the vicinity, we arrived at a small courtyard. Several second-grade array formations were placed around the courtyard to provide cover. He Pingxing had been here before. It was Ling Jiwang's dojo. The second-grade formation above was actually set up by him with Ling Ji's help. In this way, there is even less danger. Please. He Pingxing entered the room. The room was brightly lit. 4 monks were already seated around a round table. He Pingxing glanced over and saw 2 men and 2 women. He scanned the other party with his divine sense, and their cultivation level was revealed. One is a female cultivator at the 3rd level of foundation establishment, and the other is a female cultivator at the 9th level of foundation establishment. The 2 male cultivators had higher cultivation levels, one at level 11 and the other at level 12. They are all in the foundation building stage. With such cultivation, He Pingxing could easily destroy them with a wave of his hand, so he had no reservations. He plopped down in his seat with a loud thud. Gentlemen, thank you all for your courtesy. Ling Ji closed the door, then sat down with a smile and said, "Among us cultivators, besides cultivation, the most important thing is to share what we have. Let me introduce myself to you all." Chapter 258 Heavenly Rank Cultivation Technique. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. Ling Jiwang first looked at He Pingxing and said, "This is my good friend Shu Kunlun. Fellow Daoist Shu has the cultivation of the 10th level of the Foundation Establishment stage, but don't underestimate him just because he's only at the Foundation Establishment stage. He is a genuine 3rd grade array master." Upon hearing this, the group immediately showed expressions of shock. All 4 of them bowed to He Pingxing. He Pingxing also politely returned the greetings one by one. At the same time, fellow Daoist Shu is also an alchemist. His alchemy shop will be opening soon. If you need any pills in the future, you can buy them from him. By the way, fellow Daoist Shu, the price can't be too high. Don't worry. He Pingxing said, it will definitely be lower than the Chamber of Commerce. Of course, if you all go, I will give you a 10% discount for Elder Ling's sake. Thank you, thank you. Thanks. Everyone greeted Chao Heping with friendly gestures of gratitude. All right. Ling Ji continued, "This is Fairy Baiyun, with a Foundation Establishment Stage 3 level cultivation. This is Fairy by Ni, with a Foundation Establishment Stage 9 level cultivation. These 2 are sisters, He Pingxing didn't realize they were sisters. This is Lin Zifang. Lin Zifang is from the Lin family, a cultivation family. The Lin family's territory is in our Redstone City, and their strength should not be underestimated. It is said that the Lin family has a nascent soul stage ancestor." Ling Jiwang's words surprised even He Pingxing slightly. It's not surprising that there are sects in the city. He had seen a sect in the city being auctioned off at an auction in Dingxiang City before. But if a family has a nascent soul ancestor presiding over it, that's extraordinary. This is fellow Daoist Mingxian. Fellow Daoist Mingxian also comes from a prestigious sect and is a core disciple of the famous sect outside our Redstone City, Heavenly Fragrance Valley. Ling Ji introduced all of these people in one breath. All right. Ling Ji said, "The introductions are finished. Don't worry about anything at this mini-trade fair, bring out whatever treasures you have. To show my hospitality, I'll take one item first." As Ling Ji spoke, he took out a small black sword about the size of a palm and said, "This item is called the Water Affection Sword. It has 7 layers of restrictions and is a high-grade spiritual weapon. It is extremely rare and hard to come by. Especially suitable for cultivators with water attributes." After saying that, he tossed the small sword onto the table. "Gentlemen, you can exchange it for corresponding treasures. I won't accept spirit stones. Nobody here buys spirit stones. After all, if you want spirit stones, wouldn't it be better to just sell them to the Merchant Guild? I have a batch of 2nd grade youth preservation pills here, which were consumed by Foundation Establishment Stage disciples. If anyone is interested, they may take them. A total of 12 pieces, all of inferior quality." Bai Ni waved her hand and took out a pill bottle. A youth-preserving elixir? He Pingxing knew about this. After consuming it, your appearance will remain unchanged. For example, a 2nd grade youth preservation pill is perfect for Foundation Establishment Stage cultivators to consume. Because most Foundation Establishment cultivators cannot break through to the Golden Core stage, and as time goes by, aging becomes a serious problem. This is especially true for female cultivators. If there were a youth-preserving pill at this time, it could make people young again and present their most beautiful appearance in their youth. This stuff is pretty good. He Pingxing said, "Fellow Daoist by Ni, I have a drop of spiritual liquid here. Swallowing it can fill a cultivator's parched dantian in a single breath. Would you consider exchanging it for this bottle of pills? The alchemy shop is about to open, so it would be good to get some youth-preserving pills to fill the space. After all, the raw materials for the youth preservation pill are quite difficult to collect. Of course, for He Pingxing now, this Golden Bee elixir is somewhat of a useless item, because he is not far from reaching the Golden Core stage. They've already reached the 10th level of the foundation establishment stage. Once you reach the golden core stage, the golden bee elixir will no longer have the effect of filling your dantian with a single drop. It would probably take a big bite. That would be pointless. Bai Ni looked at He Pingsheng's golden bee elixir and said, "It's a good thing, but it's a pity there's not enough." He Pingsheng said, "I'll add 2 more top-grade, ice arrow talismans. Although they are only first-grade talismans, they are top-grade and can kill a chi refining stage cultivator with a single blow. They are excellent life-saving items for the disciples." Previously, there were still many enhanced first-grade talismans that hadn't been used up, and they were no longer needed. It's perfect for selling. This is good. Bai Ni said, "Okay, let's change it then." The two completed the transaction. Next, He Pingsheng took out a small shield and said, "Fellow Taoists, this is my sacred wood shield. It has 8 layers of restrictions and is a top-grade defensive spiritual artifact. If you want it, you can make an offer. There's nothing I particularly want. In short, bring out any treasures you like, and if I like them, I'll exchange them. If I don't, forget it." This completely enraged everyone. A magical artifact. Top-notch. The key point is that it's a defensive magical artifact. Even at the golden core stage, most golden core cultivators probably only use this kind of thing, right? Fellow Daoist Shu, I have something good here, please take a look. Fellow Daoist Shu, I have. In an instant, all 5 people in front of him made their bids. He Pingsheng looked at them, then shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I want. And frankly, the things you've offered are far from being worth enough." Everyone looked bitter. That's right, they didn't have the corresponding treasure at all. Beside him, Ling Ji gave Lin Zifang a wink. Lin Zifang took a deep breath and said, "Fellow Daoist Shu, fellow Daoist Ling also told me before that you are an outstanding array master." What a coincidence. Our Lin family has a family heirloom manual on array formations. Take a look, and if you like it, you name your price. Snap. A jade slip was tossed in front of He Pingsheng. He Pingsheng felt a surge of excitement, then picked up the jade slip and scanned it with his divine sense. He only glanced at it before confirming that it was a formation of at least the 5th rank. A 5th grade formation. What does that mean? That's a formation that can defend against cultivators at the nascent soul stage. On this continent, the highest level of cultivation is probably the nascent soul stage, right? This is only the first half. He Pingsheng put down the jade slip. Lin Zifang said, "Don't worry, there's a second half." He took out another jade slip. "You make the first bid." "Okay." He Pingsheng frowned and thought for a moment. "What can I use to exchange for it?" Lin Zifang said, "I want your top-grade spiritual artifact, but one artifact is definitely not enough. You must give me something else first." Top-grade magical artifact? Joke. He Pingsheng knew, of course, that this top-grade spiritual artifact was no good. Let alone 1, even 10 wouldn't be enough to exchange for such an amazing array manual. What should we use? Got it. He Pingsheng smiled and said, "I have a complete version of a heaven rank cultivation technique here." Chapter 259 Master, I was wrong. What? A heaven rank cultivation technique? Really? Am I dreaming? Heavenly rank cultivation techniques, are they high level? That's something ordinary cultivators wouldn't even dare to dream of. Every sect in Redstone County possesses a heaven rank cultivation technique. Impossible. Fellow Daoist Shu. Lin Zifang said eagerly, "Your heaven rank cultivation technique must not be complete, right?" "It's okay, even if it's not complete, I can accept it." See? Even if Lin Zifang were to think about it himself, he wouldn't dare to imagine that he could possess a complete heaven rank cultivation technique. No. He Pingsheng shook his head and said, "I just said that my cultivation technique is complete. Moreover, it is attribute-free, so cultivators of any spiritual root can practice it." What? Complete? Everyone was really in an uproar. He Pingxing slowly took out a book from his storage bag. Simple and unpretentious. It's just a book. Snap. He threw the book on the table. The 5 large characters on the book pierced everyone's eyes. Huan Jiji Jing. He Pingxing revealed a playful smile and said, "The technique is good, but fellow Daoist Lin, this thing is a joyful union technique. The contents are complete, covering everything from the qi refining stage to the nascent soul stage. However, this is not the original. It's just a copybook." "Okay." Lin Zifang said, "I'll change it, as long as the transcription inside is correct, that's fine." He Pingxing said, "There should be no mistake. You can compare it with my original version later." Lin Zifang hurriedly took the copybook away, and then took out the lower half of the formation and handed it to He Pingxing. 2 jade slips. Fellow Daoist Shu. Lin Zifang said, "This is not a copy, but the original, my Lin family's heirloom array formation." He Pingxing nodded. Although he found it strange that the Lin family, a prestigious cultivation family with a nascent soul stage ancestor, would allow its disciples to sell their top-tier formations, He Pingxing did not interrupt to ask, "This has nothing to do with him. Anyway, I was just doing normal trading." Snap. He then threw out the original version and gave it to Lin Zifang, letting Lin Zifang compare it himself. He Pingxing himself then focused his divine sense into the 2 jade slips. The formation is named Formation Manual, a simple and unadorned name. The first half records the basic principles of the formation, which need to be comprehended. The second half records some formations and arrays, containing the specific arrangement methods of more than 400 large arrays. He Pingxing was bored anyway, so he slowly read on. Suddenly, he saw a dazzling array. Upon seeing this formation, He Pingxing's body even trembled slightly. That formation was very special. It consisted of 2 circles. One is a large circle, and the other is a small circle. When these 2 circles are placed together, they look like a gourd. Possession formation. Back then, that old bastard Taishu used this very formation to possess He Pingxing's body. Fortunately, the possession attempt failed. Call. He Pingxing closed his eyes to calm himself down, and then focused his divine sense on the great formation. After looking for 3 breaths, He Pingxing was stunned. It's not a possession formation. This formation looks almost exactly the same as the one that Taishu set up back then. However, the names are quite different. The name of this formation is the Heavenly Demon Soul Fusion Transmission Formation. A magic array. He Pingxing took a deep breath, calmed himself down, and temporarily suppressed his emotions before looking at the general outline of the formation. The general outline contains an introduction to the entire formation. After reading it, He Pingxing suddenly felt uneasy. The old man's face reappeared before him. His voice, his smile, his very presence, it's as if it were yesterday. "I do not ask you to make the Taishu sect flourish, I only ask that you give these disciples a place to stay, so that they will not be left with no place to stand and become wandering cultivators. This matter is about intention, not actions. You can agree if you agree. If something unexpected happens and you can't protect the Taishu gate, then there's no need to defend it to the death. But remember one thing, as long as the green hills remain, there will always be firewood to burn. As long as a person is alive, there is always hope. Remember this, if you can't win, run." Each word feels like it was just yesterday. At this moment, the old man's terrifyingly aged appearance suddenly became somewhat kind. "Master." He Pingxing's eyes were slightly moist. "Fellow Daoist Shu, what's wrong?" Ling Ji asked, noticing He Pingxing's somewhat flustered state. The others also looked at He Pingxing. He Pingxing smiled, the moisture in his eyes instantly disappearing, and said, "I saw a formation, which reminded me of my deceased master, and I couldn't help but feel grief. Everyone, please excuse my poor appearance." By Ni gave He Pingxing a deep look and said, "Fellow Daoist Shu is a man of strong character, which is understandable." He Pingxing then put the formation into his storage bag and stopped looking at it. As for the Heavenly Demon Soul Fusion Transmission Array, it's very simple. It's just a large array for transmitting magic. In this world, the ways of inheritance for humans and demons are different. What do humans rely on? It relied on oral tradition and records in classics and jade slips. But the demon race is different. The demon race's cultivation techniques are passed down through bloodlines. After a child of the demon race is born, the talent within their bloodline will gradually awaken. It doesn't need to be passed on by word of mouth, and there won't be any errors. So, what is the purpose of this heavenly demon soul fusion transmission array? The answer is, to inherit the supernatural powers and magic of the human race in the way that the demon race does. This inheritance will be awakened around the time the golden core is formed. It turns out that from beginning to end, my master never intended to possess my body. It turns out that from beginning to end, my master always wanted to pass on the great mystery scripture of the great void to me. The problem is, why not just pass it on to me directly, instead of going through all this trouble to pass it on? He Pingsheng couldn't understand this. However, since master did this, he must have had his reasons. Once I break through to the golden core realm, I should awaken the inheritance of the great void mystery scripture. At that time, my master's intentions will surely be clear. All right. Lin Zifang gave the original copy of the Hahuan Jiji Jing to He Pingsheng, saying, "Fellow Daoist Shu, it is indeed without any errors. Good companies put away the original, as long as it's correct. And this too." Lin Zifang tossed the sacred wooden shield over, saying, "Fellow Daoist Shu, here's yours back." He Pingsheng was somewhat surprised. "You don't want it anymore?" "No, thank you." Lin Zifang shook his head and said, "How can one be too greedy? This heaven-rank Hahuan cultivation technique is more than enough to exchange for my 5th grade array manual. There's no need for me to give you any extra top-grade spiritual artifacts. Gentlemen, I've got what I wanted. I'm leaving." After saying that, Lin Zifang hurriedly left. Chapter 260 Encountering an Old Friend. Fellow Daoist Shu, can I purchase your sacred wood shield with spirit stones? Ling Ji looked on with longing. He Pingsheng looked at the sacred wooden shield, then tossed it in front of Ling Jiwang and said, "You can take this shield and use it for now. I only want one piece of news from you." Ling Jiwang was overjoyed and asked, "What information does fellow Daoist Shu wish to exchange?" He Pingsheng said, "To be honest, although I am only at the 10th level of the foundation establishment stage, I have already encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation. We need rare and precious materials to break through the bottleneck and make further progress. How about this, if your Chamber of Commerce comes along with a treasure that can break through the bottleneck, or if you have any news about it? Notify me immediately. When the news arrives, this holy wood shield will be yours." He Pingsheng stood up. He didn't rule out any possibility of definitive conclusions. They didn't say they'd give the holy wood shield to Ling Jiwang right now, but instead told him to use it for the time being. All right. Ling Ji said, "Fellow Daoist Shu, rest assured, I will tell you as soon as I have any news about this thing." Okay. Fellow Taoists. He Pingsheng said, "If you don't have any other treasures to offer in exchange, I'll take my leave now." The remaining people didn't have anything good to offer either, so He Pingsheng left directly. After leaving, I went back to my own courtyard first. Xiao Huizhu has not returned yet. It doesn't matter, since he and Xiao Huizhu have many talismans that connect them, and they exchange information and locations every now and then. For the rest of the time, there was basically nothing to do. After all, his cultivation had reached a bottleneck. It can't be fixed by brute force. Let's refine the elixir. The first step is to put the medicinal herbs purchased from the Chamber of Commerce into the alchemy furnace to enhance them, turning one portion into two. The second step, alchemy. The third step is to strengthen the refined elixir. In this way, one batch of materials can yield 4 batches of pills. In addition, He Pingsheng further enhanced the youth preservation pill. 1 bottle of low-grade anti-aging pills was enhanced into 2 bottles of high-grade anti-aging pills. The higher the grade of the youth preservation pill, the better its effect. The finest anti-aging pills don't just keep you looking young forever, they can make you even more beautiful. That's right, based on the original appearance, it has become more in line with the way of heaven. I put both parts of the formation manual into the treasure basin to strengthen them. 2 more were enhanced overnight. The first part is the heavenly moon god formation, and the second part is the great sun god formation. He Pingxing took a look and found that the 2 formations were still grade 5, but their quality had been upgraded to top grade. The content is different, but the level of mystery is almost the same. You only need to understand any one of these parts. He Pingxing chose to study the heavenly moon divine formation. But there's no rush. Even if someone with only foundation establishment cultivation comprehends this 4th grade grand formation, it would be impossible for them to successfully set it up. Because my spiritual power is insufficient. Keep refining the elixir. He Pingxing worked frantically in his courtyard, continuously refining pills and strengthening his abilities for 2 whole months. During this period, I obtained a huge amount of qi gathering pills, spirit gathering pills, yuan gathering pills, and foundation establishment pills. Of these pills, 70% are of medium grade and 30% are of high grade. Some of these pills are of the highest quality. For example, golden bone pill and healing spirit pill. However, they are extremely rare. It's okay to have a little less of the best stuff, but as a shop owner, you can't be completely without it. Carrying a large quantity of pills, He Pingxing arrived at his shop. The storefront sign has been changed. White background with large red characters, Xiaoxiao's alchemy shop. The 6 large characters were particularly striking. After opening the shop, He Pingxing cleaned it again and then began to set up the formation. A level 3 defensive array rose up from the shop, covering not only the shop but also the courtyard behind it. In addition, He Pingxing set up a 3rd grade divine suppressing array and early warning array in the back courtyard. These 2 formations only cover the courtyard, not the shops in front. In the future, the front can be used as a shop, and the back can be used for spiritual practice. After arranging all the pills neatly, He Pingxing opened the shop door. It doesn't matter whether anyone buys it or not. After all, the purpose of opening the shop wasn't to make money, but to find a girl. 2 days ago, He Pingxing was the only person in this medicine shop. There wasn't a single customer. On the 3rd day, a customer finally walked into the shop. He was a middle-aged man who looked to be around 40 or 50 years old. He Pingxing scanned him with his divine sense and found that the man's cultivation level was the 11th level of the qi refining stage. Hello. He Pingxing asked, what kind of pills would you like? Looking at the male cultivator, He Pingxing had a feeling, it was as if he had seen this guy somewhere before. However, upon careful consideration, I couldn't recall seeing it somewhere before. Is it because this person has a generic face? Or perhaps I caught a glimpse of him? That's not important. The important people will definitely remember clearly. He Pingxing instantly banished his distracting thoughts. The newcomer said, young man, I'd like to ask if you have any rare and precious herbs here that can help one break through bottlenecks. The male cultivator looked intently at He Pingxing. He Pingxing understood. He had reached the 11th level of the qi refining stage, which was just the beginning of his bottleneck. When he broke through the bottleneck during his qi refining stage, he consumed a water elemental apricot and a red essence ginseng. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. No. He Pingxing shook his head. This kind of thing is extremely rare and hard to come by. However, I do have some foundation establishment pills here. Would you like one? Sigh. The man shook his head and said, forget about the foundation establishment pill. I'm not ready for foundation establishment yet. I just want to break through my bottleneck. Then I won't bother you any longer. After saying that, the middle-aged man turned and left. He Pingxing didn't take it seriously. But after a short while, the man ran back and asked, young man, do you know where I can buy this rare and precious material to break through the bottleneck? This. I don't know either. He Pingxing genuinely didn't know. The rare and precious natural materials used to break through to the qi refining stage are extremely valuable. But it's not that they can't be found. Otherwise, how could countless qi refining cultivators have established their foundations? It's still possible to find it. It just depends on the opportunity. On the other hand, you need to have enough money. The Chamber of Commerce sometimes holds auctions, and Pingxing believes that this item must be cultivated in large quantities by someone. Never mind, never mind. The man waved his hand. Anyway, I picked up all this cultivation from the ground up. I should have died years ago. It doesn't matter if I can't break through. Never mind, as long as my granddaughter can break through. The monk was about to leave as he spoke. Hearing the voice and seeing the old man's face, Pingxing was suddenly startled and said, "Old man, please wait a moment." He recognized the old man.